Okay.
All right. See, I remembered this time. Yeah, still got a few stragglers coming in. So, good evening, all. Thanks for coming in, joining us tonight. Um, just a reminder, the IHSA test will be available next Tuesday, the 17th. So just make sure you get in, download it, print it, and go ahead and start working on it. That'll also be the same time that the Rules video will be available too, so make sure you're watching that as well. Uh, so what we'll do is with that, the following week, the 24th, and the first Tuesday in March, which I think is the second or no, it'll be the third, we'll go over the test on those two dates. Um, so try and come prepared with your questions answered, rule references, and we can discuss where we came up with the answers and all that. So, um, I think what I'll do then is also do like the poll questions and just, answer whatever is A, B, C, or D, and we'll get a consensus as to what the answer is, and then we'll discuss everything that goes with it. So, um, I know we haven't had any games or anything. Has anything come up or any questions that's come up since we had our last meeting last week? Before we get into things going over mechanics, going over how to work the wedge this year, different pieces with that. Okay, guess we're doing good. Um, so again, going back to our pregame meeting with our partners, it's going to be a great time to figure out how you're going to work the game with your partners, making sure that you know how you're going to cover different situations. If you're going to deviate, make sure you have a communication with each other as far as when you're going to be deviating, and know what your deviation is going to be. Um, One of the prime examples of that is whenever you're with a two-person crew, you have a runner on third. Um, your base partner is in the C slot, uh, and you have a fly ball that's challenging the right field line. Um, I always pregame with my partners that got somebody coming in. Um, Make sure you're pre-gaming how you want to cover that tag up at third base. Um, Typically, what you want to maybe try and do is as the plate guy, since you're going to be having catch, no catch, fair ball, foul ball, um, you're going to want to be able to focus in on that. So make sure you're confident or you're talking with your partner that they're going to cover that tag up at third, um, so that they're aware of that. If you have multiple runners on, say you have runners on first and third, that's an okay opportunity. Again, the base umpire can take the runner at third. Since you're looking down the line for the catch, no catch, fair foul, you can take the tag up at first base. Um, so again, great times to, pregame and figure out how you're going to work that out. Another deviation that will come into play sometimes is with nobody on, you have a batter runner who hits a gapper, and they're going to be trying to stretch it into a triple. Want to work it out with your plate guy who's going to be covering that batter runner all the way to third. In Federation, it's supposed to be the base umpire that takes the batter runner all the way around to third. I know there were times last year whenever I was having issues with one of my knees, and actually Dan and I were working summer ball together, and it was just like there was no way in the world I was going to get to third and cover. So we pre-gamed it, and he knew that in that situation he was going to take the batter runner all the way to third. So again, just some examples of how you good things to go over within your pregame. Any other situations anybody can think of that you might want to think about with deviation that you're going to pregame with your partner? Okay. Um, so let's see. Let's just jump into positioning and all that. And hopefully I can get this working again. So can everybody see my board with the different players on it and the like?
Yes,
Yep.
Awesome. Dan, you got an eye on the chat, right?
I do.
Awesome. So I'm going to get rid of that on my screen. Um, Another person coming in. All right. So it's a two-person game. I'm going to bring our right fielder in like they're playing first base. So 1B is going to be our base umpire. Our pitcher is now our plate umpire. Um, what's the standard starting position for your first base umpire with nobody on?
18 to 21 feet.
Right. And what are you going to do as the pitch is going in?
Gonna walk the line.
Right. You want to take one step with your outside foot and have it planted whenever that pitch comes in. And as a base umpire, your responsibilities are going to be watching for a check swing, watching for ball batted into the ground that comes up and catches the batter uh, in the box. So you're going to want to you have some responsibilities as a first base umpire with nobody on when you're walking the line. Uh, as far as starting position with, we'll just put a runner on first base. What's going to be our starting position for our base umpire for that?
B slot.
And B slot would be left of second base, right of second base person. Where we're going to put ourselves.
Well, where the second baseman is, well, where they were, I'd be definitely left of them. Well, if we're looking at the batter, I'm left of them.
Right. So you want to be in that spot where I have first base at right now. And what you're going to want to be doing is you want to be visualizing in a set position. You want to be visualizing the plate. You want to, again, be visualizing for potential check swing, foul ball, uh, whatnot, and also trying to keep an eye on the runner on first base for leaving early. And sorry for the dogs. um, Within this positioning, once the pitches come in, what are going to be some of the things you're going to be looking to do or what you're going to want to do as the base umpire?
As she's pitching,
At,
so
after the pitches come into the plate,
okay,
once it's into the catcher. Are
we
you going
could
to
pick
stay
off.
standing there? Are you going to want to?
You could have a pickoff attempt. You can work between pitches to be ready to move.
Right. You always want to be moving. You always want to be working in between pitches. Like Dan said, you could have the potential for a quick snap throw for a pickoff. So you're going to want to be moving yourself in the in this direction. Try and getting the best position, the best angle to see the play at first base. What would be some of the things that you might be looking at or looking for on that throwback to the throw down to the first baseman and the runner coming back in?
Obstruction.
Obstruction. Could there potentially be interference on the base runner?
Interference. Yep.
So you want to keep that in mind as well, keeping all those potential plays in your brain. Um, Say the throw comes down, first baseman does a swipe tag, drops the ball. What do you do? What do you signal? Do you signal? Again, first baseman has dropped the ball.
No ball, no call.
Right. So remember that, no ball, no call. So slow yourself down, because like I say, it might be a swipe tag and she comes through and hits the girl on the arm and you're ready to ring her up, but the ball comes loose. You know, how many times have we done that in the past? I can't
Too
count
many.
it that many times anymore. I've done it way too many times. So try and make sure you're going slow with your call, slow with your mechanic within that. Because again, if there's no ball, there's no call. So you just stand there and look. You know, if they do have the ball, then again, take your time, make sure you've seen all your elements, and make your call. Don't jump on uh, obstruction or anything like that. Just make sure you think it through in your head. Any questions about positioning with a runner on first base? All right. We'll just do a single runner on second base. Where are we gonna set up?
Not in center field.
But you know, don't the fans out there in center field have the best view?
Some of them.
No, it's the ones behind the plate.
So not in center field. Okay, that's a good starting point. So where do we want to be?
About 5 feet inside the shortstop
Inside the shortstop?
with the runner on second. Well, I mean, sorry, behind the shortstop, but about 5 feet off their left shoulder.
On the left shoulder. Right. So what I always think of, and whenever I have runners on base, is I want to be closer to the lead runner than away. So I wouldn't want to position myself on the other side of the shortstop again, because if there's a throw coming back for a pickoff, you're going to get yourself tied up, potentially straight line by the shortstop. If you're in this position here and there's a throw coming down, you can work your way over and either side and see that throw coming in. Again, looking for your obstruction, interference, things of that nature in there. Again, also, is there any drop ball? What kind of mess can all come into there? Any questions about positioning with a runner on second? All right, we'll just keep on working our way around. Runner on third. Where do we want to be now?
That's a little too deep.
A little too deep. So we don't come out here. We want to bring it in.
I usually set up in between shortstop and third base.
Okay.
Okay, that's a good start.
Excellent. Do you want to be like right behind the third baseman? So like you're really close to the third baseman, or what are your thoughts on that?
I stay about 5 feet, 5 to 6 feet off the right shoulder of the shortstop.
Okay. That's good. And again, within this position here, you always want to be moving. The same thing whenever you're at set, in the other C slot by the shortstop for a runner on second. You always want to be working in between pitches. You always want to be moving in some direction to anticipating any throw or play. So a lot of times with a runner on third, you might want to start moving yourself in a little bit, because if the third baseman's coming over to make the play, you're going to need to come down here or come in so you can see, do you have a tag? Do you have obstruction? What do you have going on in that position? But you want to be moving in between every pitch. Don't just hang back and wait. So
One thing I learned about positioning on the bases, either in the B or the C, is the mechanics book will say to be between first and second, or second and third, somewhere in the 30 feet. That's 15 feet from each base, right? We got 60 feet So you want to be, and Dave, I don't know if you can point to that with your cursor, if it would show, but you want to be somewhere in that 30 feet, 15 feet from either base. You never want to be more than 15 feet closer to, like, say, third base. I've seen guys, they get like 5 feet from third base with a runner on second. That's way too close. So somewhere in that 30 feet, 15 feet from each base. And if you look at our circle, who can tell me how wide our circle is, the pitching circle? Anybody?
You mean the circumference?
The circle.
It's
Yeah,
should be a
that's
standard 10-foot circle.
No. It's
No.
16 feet, but it's
16
8
feet.
feet. Yeah,
the
16
diameter would be 16
diameter,
feet, right?
16 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at that 16 feet, if you can be somewhere near that, maybe you're on the edge closest to third, maybe you're on the edge closest to second or first, depending on where the runners are. That's a good spot to be, because then you can go either way. If you go too, like I said, too close to either base, then you're not in good positioning. So it's a tip I've learned.
And I think another point is how active is your catcher? If they're really snap throwing quite a
Yep.
bit, you may need to cheat a little bit. So it's just so you're in better position. So just know who your catcher is.
Agreed. Yeah. So good to always have that in the back of your mind. If
Sorry,
you guys
guys,
have any questions on anything and you don't want to come off mute, go ahead and throw them in the chat, and we'll make sure we'll cover them.
Yeah, there is a really good manual that the NFHS puts out for umpire mechanics, and knew I was gonna misplace it, but I'll find it, and I did. So I'm gonna put the link for it in the chat. It's $22.95 before tax, title, and license. But I'll show you what the cover looks like here after I put the address in. But it's real good. It not only goes over two-person mechanics, but it also has a section for three-person mechanics. So you have the ability to look that up as well. I just tossed that into the chat for you guys.
Yeah, I see it.
And I don't know if you can, is like right now on my screen, I see Dan. I don't know if you see me. If
Yeah, hold it up in front of your face, Dave.
Okay,
There you go.
Wasn't sure if you
That's
could
a
see me
lot
or
better.
not. So this is what the cover looks like. And
Is
it's
that
put
this
out
year?
every 2 years. So
Every two? Okay.
every two.
Nice.
So, but yeah, it's a great resource. You know, like I say, it goes over positioning, like what we're doing right now. You know, what kind of positions and what your responsibilities are with you know, better runners on base, ball hit, fly ball, you know, chase, no chase, where do you move yourself to? We're going to talk about that here, but again, it's a good place to go to as a resource. So, all right. Any questions this time? Any thoughts? So we've got the main positioning down. So, you know, responsibilities, we're going to go over both plate as well as our base umpire. So we have a ball gets hit to the infield. And what will we do as a plate umpire? Where are we going to move? Are we going to move? Are we just going to sit behind the catcher?
Exit to the left of the catcher.
Exit left the catcher, and I got the ball being hit to the shortstop here. So you know what that's all about. So you're going to come out from behind the catcher and
And be ready to trail the runner, the batter runner.
and try and follow and trail the batter runner up the line as much as you can. Typically try and get 15, 20 feet up the line. And what you want to do as the plate umpire is watch the development of the play. Once the fielder throws the ball, that's whenever you want to stop yourself, get yourself and your camera stopped and set, and watching the batter runner as they progress down the line. What are the things that you're going to be looking for with that play at first base as the plate umpire? What are going to be the things you're going to want to watch out for?
Pulled foot of the first baseman.
Pulled foot,
That's
right?
good.
Runner's lane.
Runner's lane. Throw pulls the first baseman off of the base, and they go for a tag. You want to try and keep your eye on for that because potentially the base umpire is not going to necessarily be able to see the tag. Hopefully they do. If the batter runner is typically in the runner's lane up, that call for a tag is made by the base umpire. But the base umpire may not always have that good of a position whenever everything's blowing up in front of them. Because the other thing within this, where's our first base umpire going to go while the plate umpire is chasing the batter runner down the line?
Going to move into the infield to the right.
Okay. How far?
I move about 15 feet if I can to get a better angle so I can see everything. But
Okay.
it depends on where the first baseman's at. I may go 10 feet. I may go 5 feet. Just depends.
Okay.
If they move there, which usually they do, then it's just, get about 5 feet off the line or so.
Right.
So you're not in the way when they run through the bag.
Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things you also want to do is try and get that 90-degree angle to the throw. So we have a throw coming in this direction. You're going to kind of want to be out here. So you have a 90-degree coming down into the first base. So that way you should be able to and would be able to get all the elements of the play at first base.
And keep your distance, your calling distance of 18 feet for on a force play, right?
Yeah. So you don't want to, let's see, as a first base umpire, you're not going to want to come inside here. You're going to want to stay outside. So you have a bigger picture around first base. You get into here, you're closing yourself down. You might lose one of your elements that are coming in at you. Okay, let's say the ball is hit. Oops, I'm going to clear that. We have the ball hit over here. Where, as the first base umpire, where are you going to want to go?
Did it make it all the way to the outfield, or is it kind of just dribbling there?
Second baseman's making a play.
I may stay in foul territory, depending on how close.
Right. This is one of those times whenever you do have the option of moving into foul territory and making the call from over here. So again, you're going to want to try and get your 90-degree angle to the throw, but it's okay to move into foul territory because if you're moving this direction, you can potentially get in the way in the throwing lane for your second baseman. Uh, you create more of congestion there. Whereas if you move into foul territory, you're in the clear. This is also going to be a situation where you may want to also pregame it or at least be thinking about it as a plate umpire. That if your base umpire uh, goes into foul territory and there's a drop throw or the throw gets passed, you as the plate umpire need to make sure that you're ready to go and hustle out here to make the next call in the infield. Because your first base umpire, your base umpire is going to have a whole lot of traffic to try and get through to get themselves out into this position to make a call for that play at second base. So this is one of those times as a plate umpire, you need to be ready to move and take the next step out into taking the play, taking the batter runner to second, and potentially all the way down to third base as well. Thoughts, questions? All right.
Hey, Dave, there's a note in the chat if you can see that. Working solo and the throw forces first baseman to jump and land on the orange base with the force out, but the runner collides with the first baseman.
Sorry, I don't have my chat open. What was that again, Dan?
Yeah, so this says working solo. So maybe you're one man and you're at the plate, and the throw forces the first baseman to jump and land on the orange base. So it's kind of a wild throw
Mm-hmm.
for the force out, but the runner collides with the first baseman on the safety base.
That's going to be that's a tough one to deal with. It looks like it sounds like it would potentially just be a collision, um, because the throw has taken the first baseman over the orange bag. That's why they ended up on the orange bag.
And the rule
Uh,
says you can use the orange bag on wild throws
Correct.
or from foul territory. But in this case, it sounds like it was a fair ball, but wild throw forces her onto the orange base. The runner has the option to run to the white base if they want, but sometimes they can't stop themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, kind of judging by the statement in question that's in the chat, I would just have, if the fielder fields the ball, catches it, lands before the runner does, we've got an out. Um, if the fielder were to miss the ball and come down, and then there's the collision, what could you have there? Or what would you have there?
OBS.
Oh, yeah, obstruction.
Correct. You'd have obstruction because that collision has now hindered that runner from their ability to move to second base on the overthrow. But again, here you're going to have to judge, okay, on the overthrow, did they work their way down and they're there to make the play on it? Um, you know, and the runner probably would not have gotten to second base anyway. So there's some other judgments that could come into play with how that play ends up and uh, finishes off. But just based off of what was in the chat, I would just go with we have a collision and the runner is out. Does that answer the question? You need any follow up with that?
Yep. Nope. They say, okay, thanks.
All right.
Good question, though. It's a good scenario. So if you guys have more of those, throw them in the chat or, come off mute and ask.
Yeah, that's kind of what we want is to, What are the scenarios, situations that your guys find as being difficult situations to deal with, or questions of, what if, then that kind of deal? Because now's the time to kind of throw those kind of questions out here. Um, so we talked about it a little bit before with the pregame meeting as far as taking the batter runner on a gap shot. Batter runner is going to try and take it into three. Again, your base umpire is going to be trailing that runner all the way around to third. And then positioning of the plate umpire initially on a fly ball into the outfield. Where's our plate umpire going to go?
You guys can come off mute to answer.
I would say he's got to keep first base in place for the tag. So it's lined up with first base and where the ball is. So not too far.
The plate umpire, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want the plate umpire coming up this direction?
Yeah.
Okay.
His runner on first is the only runner, right?
Well, yeah, there's nobody on, just the
Oh,
batter.
no. Oh, nobody on. I'm sorry. Then no. I thought there was a runner on first and going for a gap.
I do like how you have them coming out, though, Dan. Yeah, you definitely want to come in front of the plate, usually towards where the ball's hit.
Yeah, probably more up in here. You want to try and get out towards where the pitcher circle is, and then assisting with also keeping an eye on, the batter runner touching bases. And as the play progresses around, as the plate umpire, you're going to end up wanting to work your way back over into the holding zone over into here. So again, you can kind of help with any plays that come out this direction. And now being in this position, you're in a good spot that if that ball gets overthrown at third base, you should be able to make your way back down here to the plate to make a call at the plate. But yeah, you definitely want to get out from behind the plate and behind the catcher, get somewhere in the infield, and again, watch the play develop. And the other thing is watching your partner, because you never know, your partner may be trying to cut across, and all of a sudden they come up lame or they trip on something and they fall. If you're up here as the plate umpire, you see him go down, see your partner go down over here. Now you're in position that you can come over, either inside or get outside to make that call at third base, covering for your partner who's now face first in the dirt. So again, working as a crew, working as partners, and making sure that everybody's in the right spot to get the call right.
Dave, I have a question.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned trailing the runner. It's a great shot. She's running to third base. You're trailing the runner on the inside of the infield, right? Not the outside.
Correct.
If you can. Okay.
Yeah. So initially you're going to work the rim for a play at second base coming in from the outfield. But if you know that she's going to be going to third, I'm going to follow her up to about here, and then I'm going to bring myself inside and then down into here.
Behind her.
Behind her, yes.
Yeah. Don't trip her. I've seen that happen. It's not pretty.
Yeah. And then everybody's yelling at you, and that's never pretty. But the big thing is you always want to be working inside until that throw comes in, because you want to have the ball in front of you. You don't want to be outside, where do I want to get this out of here? So you don't want to be out here trailing that runner down this direction, because that throw's coming in and you're going to you could potentially get in the back of your head. So you want to stay out of the throwing lane. That's why you come across inside. But good points, good questions, good answers.
Okay, but if you know it's a great shot, can you just get out in front of the runner before she even reaches first base and get on the inside of the infield to be in front of with the ball in front of you at second if she stops at second, and then you're close to third anyway? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're kind of you're wanting to come inside here on the shot,
You know it's a great
follow out
shot.
this way.
Yeah, you're able to get in front of the runner before she even makes it to first. Now you're in between second base and the outfield. I mean, I'm sorry, you're in between the pitcher and the outfield.
Okay. So essentially, like I said, you're weighing
Yeah,
how I drew this. You're coming in here before the runner is even at first base.
correct.
Okay. You can do that. I just be careful of that because you also have your first baseman who knows which direction they're going.
Yeah.
And if you come in here, if you're coming inside, come on, okay. If you come inside, you're going to have to turn yourself to make sure she catches first base.
Okay, that's right.
So you have the potential of tripping yourself up as you're coming across. So you're kind of going to lose view in front of you. That's why if you work the rim, you're this way. You see, looking back this way, you can see that her hit. Let her get in front of you.
Hmm.
And then once she's in front of you, then come back.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I mean, because the other thing is, I mean, if she's not going to third and you've got a throw coming in, you stay outside in the rim, you're going to be able to have all the elements in front of you that way as well, as far as a play coming in. But again, judging from where the ball's coming from. I mean, if the ball's coming from right field, I'm going to come in. If the ball's coming from center or left, I'm going to stay outside in the rim to make that call at second base on an extra base hit.
Okay.
But the second baseman will go off for a cutoff on any play like this, or there won't be a second baseman. Usually, if
They're
the ball's
supposed
hit there.
Yeah.
Shortstop will be covering second. You'll have an open field, really, going to that spot.
Yeah, because hopefully the second baseman's going to be out here.
Yep.
Shortstop's coming in to cover. First baseman hopefully is out of our way. And we can be here or we can come down into here.
Yep.
Again, read where the play is coming from. If it's like I say, if it's coming from left field or center field, I'm generally going to stay outside. And then if it's coming from right field, I want to get inside because I don't want to get hit with a throw coming from the right fielder. So again, kind of let the play develop, let the play dictate how you're going to position yourself and what position you're going to get into. And
Hey,
again,
David, can I add something to this?
absolutely,
Because
Jim.
also, if you stay outside and you let the runner pass, how many times have we seen a first baseman get in the way of the runner? Right now, we got obstruction. You may have, depending on what the circumstances, you really don't want to miss that. Because if you cut in too soon and your back's there, you miss any contact with those fielders.
Right.
Great point, Jim. Good call.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. I mean, it does make sense, as a point of possibly going that direction. And again, it's not that it's necessarily wrong, but your better bet is to stay outside. That's the reason why they went away from using the button hook on those calls at first base and plays at first base. What was it, 3-4 years ago now, where we started working the rim.
If it's a double cut, the first baseman's going to follow to second base. So you got to watch that first baseman
Mm-hmm.
coming behind the runner, trying to be the guy at second base. If it's a double cut,
Right.
Okay, so in this situation, you've moved into second base to cover second base, and if or shortstop happens to miss the ball and she continues on and goes to third, as home plate umpire, you're wanting to go back down into foul territory on third base side, correct?
I
So
would,
you leave it all
yeah,
up to you leave it all up to the base umpire to cover second into third. So the third, he's chasing the runner all the way into third.
right. So okay. So initially, plate umpire comes out, play goes to second. As a plate umpire, we should be moving over towards the holding zone to get
Okay.
into foul territory, still watching the play as it develops up here. If that ball gets away, as the plate umpire, you can do one of two things. You can let your base umpire bring the runner down, or me and my big mouth, I'm going to say, Dan, I got it. Dan, I got 3. And since I'm already here and they're done having that chase, I'm already in position for it. So again, that's where the communication between you and your partner is key. If you have something and because your partner's going to struggle to get there, let them know, hey, I've got 3. And they know that they don't have to worry about it. They can just back off a little bit, but they can keep eyes on things to see if there's anything that they pick up with in the way of interference or obstruction on the play going into third base. But that's a good point as far as being a plate guy, moving yourself into foul territory, into that holding spot, and being ready for a potential play at third base. Because as Federation says, base umpire is supposed to take the batter runner all the way to third. But again, you can deviate from that with good communication. And also, again, I would say is make sure you're going slow with your call. Watch your partner, have your partner watching you, because the last thing you need is for the plate umpire to be saying, safe, and the base umpire going out. And it's like, oh, now what? So make sure you have eyes on each other and nod to who you think has the call, and then let that person make the call. So you're not jumping on things too fast. All good points.
Okay. A little bit out of the way of questioning and everything else. Ball's hit to center field. Okay. Runner on first. Center fielder catches the ball. What is the correct? I've been told 2 different ways on this, and I don't know which one to believe. Is it the base umpire that calls the out, or is it the home plate umpire that calls the out?
On a fly ball to center field?
Yes, with a runner on first base.
Okay, so that situation, plate umpire is going to come out, and the plate umpire is going to make the out call.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And you're
gonna
probably
always be, fly balls are always going to be the responsibility of the plate person, unless, say, perchance there's a fly ball that goes to right field and our base umpire decides to go out to watch for fair foul, catch, no catch. Then in that case, the base umpire is going to make that out call. Otherwise, any fly ball is going to be the the plate umpire's call to make.
and no shade at baseball umpires, but in baseball there's the V and the base umpire makes that call. But in softball, yes, the plate umpire does it.
Right. I mean, especially with a runner on first base, because your base umpire is going to be out here in the B slot. So they should just be watching and, kind of watching the plate umpire for the signal of an out, and then also watching for a potential tag at first base with the first base runner.
The only reason why I bring it up is, like, let's say it's a slam ball. The ball comes in low. As base umpire, I mean, you're already out there. You're closer to the call to see whether or not the ball is trapped or not, compared to home plate umpire being out here, at pitcher's mound, to be able to make that call.
Right. So there, again, you're going to want to have the plate umpire making the call. It's good for the base umpire to have eyes on it, And, as the plate umpire, and I'm always going to bring Dan into it because we work together so much. I'm going to be looking at Dan and seeing if he has anything for me. Does he have the ball down or does he have an out? Is he showing me a fist or is he pointing his finger down? Um, and then that way I have a better idea. Okay, Dan has his finger down. I'm coming up with a safe sign. We've got no catch. It's a trap ball. If I'm unsure, if I'm sure of it, I'm going to make the call. But if I'm not sure, I'm going to be looking at my partner. Do you have anything for me? If they don't have anything for me, I'm going to go with what I think and go from there. But I understand where you're talking about, the base umpire being closer to that dropping line drive or whatever. But again, going slow with your call, waiting to see, did they make a call? Did they roll over? Is the ball out? Don't come up big and with any call right away, especially on those kind of things. And then, like I say, work as a crew, work with your partner as to what they see and what you see.
Okay, so in that case, then the base umpire would be watching the runner on base, waiting for the home plate umpire to make the out call, so he can see whether or not that runner left too early.
That's what you're going to hope for. But again, if you have something like that as a base umpire, if I'm the base umpire, I'm going to be tracking the ball as well. Just to, if I think it's going to be a danger ball, that there's the potential that it's going to drop, or if it's going to potential for a trap, I'm going to probably keep a glance on that as well, and then looking my way back to first base. Again, routine fly ball. As a base umpire, I'm not going to be looking at that. If you're talking about a line drive that's dying, that has potential for trap, catch, no catch, then again, let the play dictate what you do and use your best judgment on it. And unfortunately, we only have two people, and maybe we miss a tag up at first or something like that on a catch, but we want to make sure we get that first call right for sure.
Yeah, it's all about priorities, right? We have to prioritize what's most important.
And most likely, in our level, what we're going to be umpiring, they're probably not going to be watching that runner at first base tagging or not tagging as well. So that's no excuse, but we want to be sure that we want to get our priorities right.
Because the situation I had is I had a situation like that. I turned to look to see, because I didn't know whether or not the guy was going to catch the ball or not. Or I should say, in this case, the girl was going to catch the ball or not. And the home plate umpire, who had several years on me, proceeded to chew me out afterwards, saying that wasn't my call to look at. I should have been paying more attention to the runner. And his call was the actual fly ball and everything else. And I got read the riot act over that. So I just wanted to make sure that I was, you know, making the right situation there.
Right. So, yeah, in that situation, your plate umpire should be the one making all calls for catch, no catch. Other than the situation, like I say, in that situation of chasing down the right field line, that's something you're going to want to pregame with your partner. It's like, I feel like I'm going to say, I'm the base umpire. Hey, we got a fly ball to right that's, a dying quail. It's going to be behind first baseman, second baseman, right fielder. They're all coming in and they're going to be surrounding it. I'm going to go out. I'm going to watch that one if there's nobody on. If there's somebody on base, we can, again, let's go here. We got our runner on first. Ball's coming into here. We've got our first baseman, second baseman. We'll just use C as our being the base umpire. The base umpire can kind of move and kind of keep an eye out here with the peripheral vision with the runner at first base. The plate umpire definitely needs to get out here as best as they can to see if there's a catch, no catch collision. And again, these are situations that you kind of have to be in the middle of and find the best positioning for all parties involved. Um, I would not say, in a two-person game and a play like this, your base umpires not should not be going out on that. They should be staying in um, and watching from inside the infield or inside in the infield or inside completely, but most likely they're going to be out here. Thoughts? Anybody? Dan?
Yeah, no, that's a tough one. I might stay out and just get eyes on that, but like you say, you still your responsibility is that runner and then the batter runner coming to first base. Somebody's got to be watching that too. What if she runs, if she passes the runner at first, right? Who's going to be watching that? The base umpire needs to be watching that. We have a small field, so most of your play guys, if they get out where David has them, they can make an educated call. It may not always be, the best view, but that's what our game is, a two-man. So you got to remember your priorities.
And then there's the solo games, Dan.
Yeah, and that's very tough. But
Yeah.
but again, get out a little bit, do the best you can. But yeah, then you got to watch everything, right? And I remember those, and I still have some solo games here now and then. And that's when you tell the coach, well, let me ask my partner.
Oh,
And
wait, I don't have one.
They usually get the joke, or they understand that, hey, I'm doing the best I can. I'm one guy out here, right?
Well, I'll be honest with you, that priority is a good way to keep it, because you're watching a runner on first, fly ball to the left. You want and maybe a little tricky fly ball. You want to get the out call there first.
Correct.
You swivel around and catch see if the runner left early, whatever. But there's one of you.
Yeah, it would have to be egregious. They'd have to be a few
Right.
steps off, right?
Right.
If it's a half a step, coaches usually understand, the priorities, right? Fair foul, safe out, catch, no catch, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You have a runner there when you turn, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. You have a runner here,
Yeah.
I don't think she did it.
He's not that fast, right?
Yeah. Your leg stride is not that quick.
Hmm.
But again, priority and best judgment and best positioning that you can get. Because as a solo, you're going to want to get yourself out here somewhere on that fly ball to left so that you can see the catch, but you also have eyes here. And then, oh, wait, I got to get out here to make the call.
Yeah. If you're making all the calls from behind home plate, then I can see where the coaches could have a beef. But if you're making the effort to get out there, and hopefully you guys are, or you will, they should understand limitations.
So yeah, now the big thing, and I see a comment in the chat, so they did keep it up this time, is thinking of the solo JV Frosh guys. Yeah, you're going to see some weird plays because the talent level is not quite there, and you're also the only one there. Again, the big thing is hustle and get out from behind the plate, get yourself somewhere into the infield, and then let the play move you as to where your positioning is going to be. That fly ball or single out to left field, you're going to get out here, but you might want to bring yourself more towards this spot here. So that way, if there's a throwback to first, you're going to have the ability to see that play at first base. If all of a sudden they decide they're going to take off for second, you can get into second. If that, like I say, the single's going to left field, you're not going to necessarily want to be over in this spot here. Because again, you're going to have a long, granted you want angle over distance for your calls, but I'd rather have same angle, but a little bit closer if need be. So again, let the play dictate to which way you're going to move and position yourself, especially as a solo umpire.
Yeah, and one of the biggest mechanics is to make sure that ball gets back in the pitcher's hand in the circle, especially if you're doing one man. Because if you turn your back and you start walking back towards home plate and the pitcher does not have the ball in the circle, right, the runner can take off. So make sure he gets there. And when I do one man, I walk backwards a lot, or I walk sideways so I can still keep an eye on everybody, because you never know that pitcher is going to step out of the circle or make a play, and you don't want to have your back to the action.
Right. And to Dan's point, you want to make sure that it's the pitcher who has the ball. There's a lot of times that the first baseman will sneak in and they get the ball, and then the pitcher all of a sudden appears and they pass the ball over. First baseman has the ball in the circle and the pitcher doesn't, that runner can take off. There's no look back rule with the first baseman in the pitcher circle. It has to be the pitcher with the ball in the circle.
Right.
So I'm not sure quite how many new folks we have here. Speak up now. What are some of your questions about positioning as a one-person game, a one-person crew with different opportunities or different things that are going on? Because I want to make sure, we get both sides covered, because out here in this area, lower level games are going to have single people, and you guys need to be as prepared as the people that are knowing two-person mechanic.
Dave, I'll speak.
I've done my share of JV and JV1, JV2, and the notion of following the play. Obviously, there's a few basics, right? As far as, but it's less. Seems like it's less prescribed and less fixed than two-man, because the play could end up goofy things happen in freshman and sophomore games.
Absolutely.
So you kind of have to anticipate what that goofy thing is going to be. Obviously, certain things as far as fair foul and angles on outs and the wedge and all that, but sometimes you end up in a place you didn't think you were going to get to, because that's where the play took you.
Right. And I mean, always be hustling, always be moving. Try not to be stationary behind the plate. Get out into the infield, because coaches will see that. Coaches appreciate that. If you look like you're trying to get to the right spot, or you're making an effort to get to the best position to make the call, that says a lot, not only for you, but also says a lot to them, as well as to the players and the fans. And that, hey, this guy's making an effort. This girl's making an effort to get the right spot and get the right call. There's not as much movement with the two-person game. I mean, you're still moving all the time in between pitches, especially as a base umpire. But as a solo person, you want to be moving. I mean, even you have a runner on first base who's going to steal. You're not going to get much closer than maybe here, but try and get out to as much of an angle to make that call that's going into second base that's 80 feet away. Because you have more credibility if you're out here making that call than if you're here trying to make that call. You may get it right, you may get it wrong, because if it's a bang bang play, it's going to be hard to see no matter where you're at over in here. But you're definitely going to have a hard time if you haven't moved out from behind the plate, really.
Yeah, you should be able to see, your first priority, right? We're talking priorities. Is the catcher making the throw? Is there batter interference? We talked about that last week. So as you're coming out from behind the plate, you need to be watching those people at the plate, which are the batter and the catcher. No interference, then keep moving, like David said, and then get set when the ball arrives at second base. And you should have a decent angle, right? Angle beats distance, so that's the best way to cover that one man.
Okay, Dave, Dan, both of you. In girls softball, are they like the big leagues? Does the catcher run to first base to back up first base?
Sometimes. Sometimes they do. Sometimes you run into them. But
That was going to be my next question. If you do notice a catcher that's doing that, do you hesitate, let the catcher get out in front of you, and then go to pitcher's mound, or wherever in the infield accordingly?
yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Neil. But usually, if you're exiting to the left, right, you got
Okay.
the batters running down the baseline. The catcher, if she's backing up, she should be immediately going to the right, as David's showing. So if you're going to the left, you shouldn't cross paths. Again, I say you shouldn't, but remember they're teenagers, right? And they're teenage girls, and sometimes they don't go where you think to go. But you'll that probably in the first inning. What kind of catcher do I have? Does she hustle? Does she know the game? Is she brand new? Right? We've all been behind the plate with a brand new catcher, and you just got to learn to work with each one.
Yeah, you figure out what the dance is going to be in that
Yep.
first inning. Todd, you had the question about, does the plate umpire always go to the left of the plate when coming out for a call? 98% of the time, yes. There may be some situations where you may have a left-handed batter and the hit comes down third base. You're going to come out this way to begin with just to catch fair foul, and then take on up to follow the batter runner down the line. So it's not all the time, but again, it's how the play goes. You want to, if it's a shot that's going down third base line, I'm jumping here to get that call fair foul. If it's just a kind of like a regular hit going towards the third baseman, I'm going to come out this way to watch for fair foul. But the ones that are the quick shots down the line, I'm going right. That's just how I do it. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to get used to what Dave's saying, because the mechanic book teaches us to go left, and it makes sense for 98% of the time. It's that 2% that you got to train your body to go right. I still try to go left and get to that line before that ball gets to third, but if it's a shot, it probably does make sense to go to the right and be able to see it better, unless the catcher is in your way.
Right.
Left-handed batter with a bunt, I tend to go to the right also. A lot of traffic out front.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Roger. Yep.
So, does that help answer your question, Todd?
I'd also add, if it was a fence foul line hit to the right-hand side, that might also be a situation where you roll out right to cover that.
Say that one more time, Eric.
If the hit is on the foul side of first base, going towards the fence, you might roll out to the right to get coverage on that.
That makes sense. Yes, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
if you're coming over here for a foul pop up or something that's going into foul territory, yeah, then you're going to roll out right. And a lot of this also comes back to pre-pitch plan. If this, then that, what am I going to do? And run those scenarios through your head, even as a solo, run that scenario through your head. Okay, I've got a left-handed batter up. She's a slap hitter. She likes to hit it towards the third baseman. Which way am I going to go? The catcher might be coming out. Do I need to go left? Do I need to go right? And get yourself in. The job is to get yourself in the best position to make the call. But again, all that is pre-pitch plan. What am I going to do? Which way am I going to go? Great discussion, guys. Let's say we've got runner on second. Let's do second and third. So we just use this. So our base umpire is in the C slot. And we have a ground ball comes up to the shortstop. There's going to be a play at first base with our batter runner. What's our base umpire going to need to do?
He's going to need to make the call first base.
Okay. So they're going to make the call at first base. Do your best if you can to get in as best as you can. Because, I mean, you're going to have a runner coming across. So you might have to hesitate or delay. But again, you want to try and get as good of an angle for the play at first base as possible. You know, in a perfect world, our base umpire is going to be try and get into here to make that call. We all know that's not necessarily going to happen, especially in that scenario. So you might be making the call from back here.
Yeah, and that goes with priorities. The priority is not to get in the runner's way, right? Because she has the right to run to third. So if you can't get all the way in, like David's saying, stay back, get the best angle, make the call at first, and then be ready for the next play, right? Because there's probably going to be a next play after that.
What should the plate umpire be doing in this situation?
I would think they're coming out to the staging area.
Staging area as in out here?
Yeah.
Okay. What's a potential situation that could occur with that play at first base?
It's a ground ball to shortstop, right?
Ground ball towards the shortstop, yeah. Play going to first. And I'm not looking for right or wrong. I'm just trying to get
They always have baseline or obstruction or whatever down there, but that my understanding is that's the base umpire's call.
Where's that, Dan? At short?
Base. At first. I mean, the grounder to short, the base umpire is going to be just trying not to get run over there between the shortstop and the runner.
Okay.
Right. So what you're going to really want to do as the plate umpire is put yourself more in this spot so you're able to watch down the first base line for all the same things. Pulled foot, batter runner in the runner's lane. Do we
Swipe
have
tag.
interference, a swipe tag? You know, if you have a pulled foot and you're up here, you're not necessarily going to be able to see that. Whereas if you're here, you're going to be able to catch that. And also, you're still going to be closer to home because this runner from third is probably going to be coming in to score. So that way, once that play is done at first, you can get yourself into working the point of plate and working the wedge. So you don't want to necessarily get yourself too far away because there's too many things that could go on here. And say there is a pulled foot and your base umpire calls the runner out. You know.
Well, let's stop there, Dave. What's the how do you correct that, or what has to happen in order for you to correct that?
So we're talking about what would you have to do for a correction on a pulled foot at first base with your base umpire in the C slot?
That would be an appeal play.
Correct. And who appeals?
The offensive coach, the offensive team. But you let the play go out. You let the play go.
Correct.
Let it go out, and then see what happens from there.
Yeah. So in your mind, you say to yourself, "Ooh, she pulled her foot." You don't signal. You don't say it out loud like I just did, but you got to be ready because an appeal might be coming, right? So that's how the mechanics of that play.
And who would the coach go to ask for the appeal?
Assume the plate umpire.
you say plate umpire?
Correct, yeah.
He could start there. I mean, on my field, a lot of times they come to the plate umpire. Hey, I like to appeal that she pulled her foot. And I might say, well, you'll need to ask my partner, and go ask him a question, him or her a question. And then that's how the appeal process starts.
Yeah. The appeal needs to go through the calling umpire.
Right.
Even though Dan knows darn well that she pulled her foot and I'm the one that said that she was out, they need to come to me to ask, hey, I think you missed a pulled foot. Can you go ask your partner? I'm not sure you had all the elements, kind of thing. And then at that point in time, it's up to me to go to Dan or my partner, my plate guy, and say,
Right.
hey, there's a question about a pulled foot. I may have missed it. Do you have something different? But the appeal has to go through the calling umpire.
Right.
And if the coach doesn't know to go through the calling umpire or doesn't make the appeal, then the play that is called in the field stands.
If she
Even
does, if they don't ask for an appeal, then no. But if they're coming out, like what happened, what Dan said was, if you were asking for an appeal, you need to go ask a question of my partner.
Also, you can go ask my partner, and
Right.
I know it seems like it's kind of, hey, that takes time. And why do you do that when you know that she pulled her foot? Because that's how the mechanics of it work. And we need to have a process. So they need to go through the calling umpire. And if Dave said he, had all four elements and wants to die with that call, that's his choice. He does not have to come and ask me. There's certain appeals that you have to, check swing, pick off. But there's something like that he does not have to. Usually I will, though, especially from the C slot, because you can't see everything. And you have to humble yourself and say, you know what? I may have missed an element, or I got straight lined, and be humble and go ask your partner. And then and it's happened to me where I've changed the call and I've gotten it right, much to the pleasure of the coach who appealed and much to the chagrin of the coach who it went against. But that's the way our game is, and that's why we have two umpires out there.
And you also have to think as well, the optic of that, the coach comes out, goes to Dan, and Dan says, you're right, it was a pulled foot, runner's safe. And I'm standing out in the infield like, what did you just do to me?
Right.
Because you've just now totally thrown me under the bus, and they're not going to trust any of my judgment calls from that point forward. So it looks better as a crew to get together and have the chance to get together and correct the call. Now, another thing that you can also do, besides having, the coach coming out, is I'm on the bases and it's like, I'm going to make a call. And then it's like, once everything's done, I'm going to say time. I think I may have missed this. I'm going to call Dan out before the coach even comes out.
Yeah, he doesn't say that out loud, but yes, he can call time and then call me to get together and ask me that question.
So you can do it on your own as an umpire asking for help. Just make sure everything's all said and done, the play's over, and because there are times, and I've done it, where it's like, I know I kicked that one and here's an opportunity to fix it. So we're going to fix it, but we're going to make it do it the right way.
But if you're the plate umpire and you saw the foot come off, and there is no appeal, and the base umpire who called the out doesn't come to you, you just let the play stand as is and play on?
Correct.
Yes. Hey, Dave, there is a comment in the chat from McCormick. Overthrow at first base and then play at the plate. Not sure what the question is there.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I was going to wait till the other conversation get done. So
if you want,
It was when we were talking about the mechanics of where in two person and the ball goes to shortstop with second and third, and you asked what are some of the things that can happen. So me being freshman JV, overthrow at first base. So.
Yeah, that does happen. Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, where are they going to throw the ball next?
Right.
Right.
So it's like, try and follow the ball and follow where they're throwing it. And hopefully they just throw it back to the pitcher and put it in the circle and they don't throw it around the infield anymore. But yeah, you have to be ready for it to go any number of different directions on that.
Dave, I
Thanks.
think,
Great discussion, guys. Thanks.
Good.
yeah. I think honestly, the play that you drew right here with runners on second and third is probably one of the most intricate and complex plays that we have to deal with, especially that hit to the shortstop, because you could, depending on where you're at as a situation in the game, you could have third base being aggressive. So the shortstop could field the ball and potentially throw towards third if they think they're going to dive back. If it's the go-ahead run, they could throw towards home and forget about the runner on first. Once they, you have the potential that there is some level of interference if the runner from second's coming across, but of course they don't have a runner on first, so they don't technically have to leave the bag. I mean, there's so many things you have to watch on this one as an umpire because it can go in so many different directions.
Right. Again, just being as ready as possible. Have that pre-pitch plan. Okay, if it goes here and they go there, then I'm doing this. And, some of that comes with experience and just the intuition of, okay, being aware of the game situation. Like Eric was saying, are they going to make the play at the plate? Or are they going to be aggressive and try and get her at third? Or, whatever it might be. Try and have all those thoughts going through your head and be ready for anything.
Yeah, and know the coverage of that, right? So the ground ball goes to short, and she fakes it to first, and maybe tries to pick that girl off coming back to third. Whose call is that, right? That's the first play in the infield. That's the base umpire's call. So don't overcommit to, she's going to throw it to first and get the out, even with 2 outs, because sometimes they won't. So you can anticipate, but you can't overcommit. You know what I mean? So you got to have a head on a swivel and be ready for all the calls that are possibly yours. As a plate guy, this is one time you do not trail the batter runner to first because you have a runner that might be coming home. So getting first base line extended, as David said, and be ready for your play at the plate. You want to talk about the second play, Dave? Let's say they go to first and now there's a throw back to third. How should we handle that?
Well, let's play it out to everybody else.
Okay.
So we still have runners on second and third. Is that the situation we're going with, Dan?
Yeah, let's say there's no outs. So she goes to first, gets the runner out, the batter runner out. And there's no pulled foot or anything. Got a runner scored at the plate. And now you got a runner going from second to third.
What's everybody think?
Who's got the throw going back from first to third?
Well, I'm going to say that's now the trailing runner coming in, so it's still going to be out there for base in this situation because plate's got to respect that there's a runner coming home.
I would agree with that. Yeah, if there wasn't a runner coming to the plate, then yeah, I would expect that plate umpire to get up there to third. But in this case, because there was a player coming across the plate, that's the priority for the plate umpire, right? Make sure that run scores, make sure she tags home plate, doesn't get obstructed by the catcher.
So yeah, on the throw going back, again, this is going to be a time whenever you're going to have, plate guy, there's not going to be a play at the plate. But he has to make sure, or she has to make sure that the runner crosses the plate. they can start dragging up, but keeping eyes back on the plate to make sure that the plate was touched, but working their way back here. Our base umpires made their call, but they can put eyes on third base as well. And here's where communication comes in. My
Right.
base umpire can call me off as the plate and say, I've got 3. I'm going to back off. I'm making the call, but I'm still going to be coming up and looking to get an angle so that I have another set of eyes on that play. Or if by chance my base guy did get himself or herself inside, I feel like I can get there, I'm going to call off my base umpire and say, I've got 3. I'm going to make the call, but my base guy, base umpire is hopefully going to keep eyes on things because there's nothing going on between first and second. Have an extra set of eyes on that play. So again, the communication as a crew is vital in that situation as well. And then knowing what your partner, knowing if I'm, as the plate guy, if I'm trapped, my base umpire's letting me know I've got you covered. I've got this.
Yep. Hey, here's one in the chat about rundowns. As long as you got your board up, you want to talk about a couple rundowns?
Absolutely. So
Okay, hold on before you go into rundown real quick. Okay. With where you had the home plate umpire positioned there at third, my only problem I see with that is if the throw is to third and now suddenly the third misses it and the girl keeps on scooting, she takes that wide angle coming off a third. Now you're possibly in interference with her as she goes to home plate. So is there are you better off to be more towards the line, or are you still better off to stay out away from what you think would be a turn third base running line?
Again, it's going to be instinct on your part. Myself, I'm going to probably stay out wider because then I'm going to be trying to get myself back inside to point a plate or as close to the plate as possible for that runner coming in. My thought and where I'm kind of thinking with this is if the runner's sliding into third, she's not going to be taking a wide angle off of that slide to get into home. She's going to be popping up and coming straight down the line. If she's rounding the base, then yeah, I'm going to be in her way for that one. But again, how is the play developing? Is it, if it's an overthrow, is it an overthrow from the outfield or is it an overthrow coming back across the infield? And, she's going to be sliding in because she's thinking she's going to have a tag play there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, but there's also potential you could go instead of being out here is come bring yourself inside.
Go inside. I've done that before with say it trickles away from the third baseman, like just 10 feet. And she's getting up and coming in, but she wants to come where you're at. Hop on the inside and then just come right down the baseline on the inside. And the catcher's waiting for the ball. You got a good angle to see all the elements, her foot, the base, the ball coming in. So there are options. You just got to be aware of them.
Before we get into rundowns, which I'm interested in, I'm your one-person mechanic guy. So second and third, 2 outs, ball hit to the shortstop. You called it the wedge, right? Around home plate?
If there's a play at the plate, yeah, we call it the wedge.
So, but the balls hit the shortstop, second and third, 2 outs. Okay. Where do you recommend the best position for a one person to be umpire?
Initially, I'm going to bring myself up here or probably more in foul territory. But this way, if the throw's going to go to first, I've got my line coming up here to make the safe route call at first base.
Okay.
If she decides to bring it toward, if she decides to throw it home and I'm here, then I can bring myself back inside or back outside and
Okay.
watch the play come into the plate.
Okay. All right.
Make
That's
sense?
what I thought. I just wanted to confirm what I thought.
Yeah,
no,
it's a
that's
question.
good. That's a great question.
Yep.
Okay. So Matt, you're talking about a one-person mechanic for the rundown?
Yes.
Okay. That's kind of a tough one.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard umpires stay inside. I've heard the umpires stay outside the third baseline. I mean, yeah. So I'm just curious on seeing what you guys would want to do. I think on the baseball side, they encourage you to be inside in order to get in that wedge just for the play of the plate. But with softball, because it's such a smaller infield, I'm thinking I'd be on the outside. I've been in 2 rundowns before and down third to home, and I played inside and outside. It just seems like the girls are coming in to start, backing each other up from the infield. So I felt like being outside is probably the best place to be, but I didn't know if there's a right answer or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you do run into 2 things with this. Remember, in rundowns, we're not the ones running, right? We don't want to be moving too much. I've seen too many umpires. The ball gets thrown to third, they run to third.
Right.
When it gets thrown to home, they run to home. Find a spot kind of in the middle that you're out of the way, but you can see everybody, and make your calls from there, and then be ready for obstruction, right? Or intentional interference. Small field, a lot of bodies. Those are a definite possibility.
So would you say being on the outside then, is
that's usually where I am.
Okay. That's what I thought. It was just tough for me to keep an idea of who was coming in. I mean, it went on for about 6, 7, 8 throws. I mean, it was busy. It was, and my head was just swiveling
really
back and
upset
forth.
with us if it took us 7 throws to get
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 12U. I mean,
Yeah. No, I understand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, for between third and home, I would say stay in foul territory outside. But if you've got yourself a rundown between first and second or second and third, then be on the inside. Inside in this area here as the play is going back and forth. Because again, you'll have all the throw and all the elements are going to be in front of you. And the same thing here. Everything is going to be in front of you, which is what you want, where you want the ball to be.
Let's talk 2-man real quick. Do we have a couple minutes we can do that?
Sure.
Let's say we have a rundown of just the batter runner only between first and second, right? She hit what could have been a double. She got caught up between first and second. Now she's in a rundown between first and second. You have a base umpire and a plate umpire.
What's the thoughts?
As a base umpire, wouldn't I move to second base and the home plate umpire move towards first base?
I like that thought, especially with no other runners on, right? If there's another runner on, you may not be able to do that. What's the most important here for the only umpire when he gets up there?
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is I've seen so many rundowns between like first and second, and then that person makes it around second, and the plate umpire has to watch third.
Okay.
Whichever way you go, make sure you yell to your partner, you've got this end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so communication, right, Roger? That's a good point. That's probably the most important.
So we'll address the play going to third in a second. But yeah, what Roger was saying, it's like if I'm coming out as the plate, I'm going to say I'm inside. And then my base umpire knows to stay outside. So we've now got the rundown boxed in. All right. Say the runner does get the second and starts going to third. Yeah. Traditionally, the plate umpire is responsible for third. But if you got a base umpire that's watching that, sees that happening and sees what's going on, they can chase the runner going from second to third as well. So again, we're going to have two sets of eyes coming in on that play at third, and then whoever has the best angle and the best vision of it can make that call at third base. So hopefully the base umpire sees that and can then follow that runner from second into third. But you're absolutely right. That should be third, or should be the plate umpire's call. But again, working as a crew, working as a team.
Hey, David, on that was a base hit, right? And then she gets caught in a rundown.
Yeah, I think
Is that what happens?
That was a situation.
So-
she got
so
she
really-
got herself into a rundown between first and second.
Well, yeah, and really, technically, you could view it as, hey, the base umpire is going to take them all the way into third, right? Like that's really the mechanics if we're going to do that. So I usually stay on the outside. And again, like you say, you read the play, you read the runner, and if you're moving, you can be moving with the runner. You won't beat her there, but you'll be in a good calling position as the base umpire to say, I got three, and you make that call. Because really, if that's the lead, the only runner, the batter runner, plate umpire may not get there. That would be a hard task for them to get there.
Right.
So all good scenarios, all good things, thinking about, and again, communicating with your partner about the coverage and being ready for anything. All right, so do you want to go over some videos of working the wedge?
Hey, can you do one more rundown? Because if this does happen at the varsity level, let's say you got a runner on first and a runner on third, and you get a rundown between home and third. And then, so what does the base umpire do with that trailing runner? And what do we do with the lead runner?
Where do we have a rundown?
Let's say we have a rundown between home and third, and we have the runner rounding second and would most likely be heading to second base.
Okay, so we've got our rundown in here. So our plate umpire is obviously going to be working on this rundown.
Yeah, so he's outside.
Right. Base umpire does have responsibility for first and second. I would bring myself into here, try and keeping an eye on here. I'm not going to necessarily box or bracket that rundown just because we have this trailing runner that's going into second. So I would venture to say, and Dan, maybe you have another thought on this, but have the base umpire somewhere in this area here where they can still move into position for a call at second, but can assist with this rundown that's going on here.
Yeah. I tend, again, priority if they're trying to get this runner out. One thing is you got to watch throwing lanes, right? So say the catcher throws it back to the third baseman. Now she decides to throw to the second baseman. You would definitely don't want to be in that throwing lane. So I might back up a little bit, more into the dirt. And you may not be on top of that call at second base. If you're helping out with the snap throw back to third, you might be halfway between each of them. Maybe you're 20 feet, that type of thing. Again, what's the priority? If it's the runner at third, that's the one they're going after first. Then usually that runner rounding first, she's probably going to get to second without a play on her. But if they do snap it to second base, you can turn, pivot, make the call. Hopefully you got a good angle. Your distance won't be great, but that's the limitations of two-man.
Well, and I think this is a good play to talk about pregame.
Sure.
Because really you also have, your responsibility as a base umpire is first and second. You still got to make sure you have no obstruction or nothing happening. The plate umpire is responsible for that runner between third and home. Yeah, you can keep an eye on it, but you still you can't just totally disregard what your responsibility is, correct?
Correct. But if it's a rundown and that a plate umpire, what's his main priority? Home plate, right?
Yeah, for the plate guy, yeah, I get that. Yeah, that's no doubt.
So then there's a snap throw to third base. I'm going to rely on my base umpire to help with that. Now, I don't expect him to be right on top of it, but that's a hard one for the base umpire, but he'll have to make the best he can do with calls at third and also at second, watching the girl, make sure she doesn't truck the first baseman, that type of thing.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to necessarily get yourself as the base umpire too far over in here, because if all of a sudden the runner from third gets back to third and now they're snap throwing over here, and now you're going to run down over here. So that's why I was saying kind of be not bracketing it in completely, but still being close enough to have decent eyes on it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about a rundown between first and second now, right? It's a typical girls on third, a girl walks, right? We have the continuation play. She starts going to second. She wants to get in a rundown, right? To give her a chance to score. What do? You basically split up. Plate guy's got his holding zone, his donut, which is third and home, right? Base guy's got first and second. So we don't bracket at all because I have a chance of somebody scoring, and that's my priority as the plate guy. So the base guy's on his own between first and second.
And that's why I asked about that scenario, because I still feel, that's why I would pregame this, that plate still has his priority and the base guy has his priority, unless we deviate from that in pregame.
Keep the conversation going. I'll be right back. I got to.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Jim. And so when you in pregame, and there's a lot to talk about in pregame. I believe that mechanic book that Dave mentioned probably has ideas for pregame. If not, you can find some online. IHSA has a nice pregame reference on the IHSA website. If you're new to two-man, print it out and just talk about things. Coverages, how are you going to handle this? The exceptions, as David mentioned, with the fly ball down the right field line. Usually, the plate umpire takes all lead runners on tag-ups, right? But if the ball's hit down the right field line and your partner's in the C slot because the runner's on third, then you probably want to deviate and let your partner take the tag up at third, and you got the fair foul, catch, no catch down the first base line. So those are good things to talk pregame.
Okay, Dan, I'm going to throw it at you here.
All right, go ahead, man.
We're still in the same scenario. We got the runner at third trying to come home, or I should say the runner going to third. The first base runs, and she does truck the first baseman. Okay? But she continues on to second. So she's allowed second base because of the interference of the fielder. Okay?
Hold, Neil. That would be obstruction on the first base.
Obstruction. Right? Okay.
Yeah, so I would put my arm out once I see it.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
But the play still at third base, with the player or with the runner running from third to home, possibly, that play continues no matter what.
Yep.
And I mean, she's not safe in any way, shape, or form because of the obstruction call at first base.
No, she's
the only one that's safe is the runner running from first to second
on an obstruction call. Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but it's good that you see that. Somebody has to see that. The worst feeling, and it's happened to me, it's been a while, but I took my eyes off, two players, and all of a sudden one of them was on the ground, and it's like, uh-oh, how did she get there? Did she fall? Did she get knocked down, tripped, whatever? But yes, the obstruction would only apply to that runner that was actually obstructed. Handful of times the runner
ringing bells at the house here. I had to go let them out. So.
Oh, no problem. Gary says he's had a handful of times that the runner runs out of the base line. So maybe you talk a little bit about baseline, base path, David, first. We can talk about signals on how mechanics.
I mean, again, that's going to be a judgment call. If they've run outside of their base path, we got baselines that go up first base and third base, but their base path is what the runner creates for themselves on their path to get from, first to second, second to third, whichever it might be. So You just need to keep an eye on, have they gone, 3 feet inside, outside, or more, to avoid a tag. And again, it's going to be in your judgment as to what they've done as far as what their initial base path was to where they were going.
So-
and go ahead.
Well, let me ask a mechanic. Somebody hop off mute and tell me what your mechanic is when you see somebody out of the base path. How do you signal that? What do you do?
Just an out call. He's out.
Okay.
Play,
So
the
you-
play's not over. Right? The play's not over. It's not a dead ball.
Correct. Yeah, so it's a live ball, right?
I would normally call out, and then I'd have a signal with both hands showing that she left the baseline.
Okay, so like
yeah,
out of the base path, right?
out of
I
base
want to make
path,
sure we
yeah.
use the right terminology because coaches will come out, oh, she's out of the baseline. She's out of the base path. We want to make sure that they say it right. But that's a good one to have this out of the base path, come up with your hammer. You can point at her if you want, but then officiate the rest of the play because it's a live ball, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, either have that one mechanic where you're sweeping away, or I've just pointed out of the base path, runners out, and away you go. So, all right, let's now it's 8:45, so let's try and get into some of the video as far as the working the wedge.
So this is one of the points of emphasis this year. We have obstruction and then obstructed view. So IHSA really wants us to make sure that we don't have obstructed views when we're making calls. So this lends itself right to that.
Everybody have the video up?
I see your option for videos. Did you pick one?
I did. It didn't come up.
I don't see it yet.
Nope.
Okay, let's try again. Video
There it is.
now? Okay. So this is obviously going to be play at the plate. Swipe tag. This is from the third base camera. So in working the wedge, what you want to try and do is get as good a view or as best view possible and to have all the elements in front of you. As a plate umpire, working the wedge is you're working from point to plate, and you're either going to go third baseline extended, first baseline extended. Typically, what they're looking for nowadays is to work towards the third baseline extended. So let me move this out of the way and hit play. I'll run it one more time.
Good looking catcher. I love that, Jeff. You better say that.
I didn't see the this comment, but yeah, you better
Yeah,
say
no,
that,
that's
Jeff.
good.
So again, that's our third base view. Any thoughts on the third baseline or the third base view?
I guess a starting point. Are they're still wanting us to start first baseline extended and not point of plate? Is that correct?
To start
Or
with,
does-
yeah. If that's usually where it's coming from, yes, is going to be from first baseline extended. But if you have the opportunity to work straight from point of plate, then that's where you're going to want to. That's where you're going to want to be.
Okay, so do you guys all understand that difference? Because it's a good couple steps, probably maybe 3 steps for short guys like me to get from first baseline extended to point of plate. And it's probably advantageous to be closer to the point of plate because you can move easier to get to the swipe tags.
Probably should have started with this video. Do you see the video on the screen right now?
No, I just see your desktop with the multiple
right
choices.
The thing about the third base extended is if the catcher gets the ball, she can own the plate. She has the ball. She can be between you and the foot of the runner from third base is extended.
Yeah, you may not need to go that far, Dan. You may stay point of plate. You might go just in between third baseline extended and point of plate, depending on where the ball's coming.
I mean, I like the point of plate if all other things being equal, but it seems to be a lot of third base extended talk.
Are you seeing the video on there now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the same play from behind home plate. This is a play we've got hit into the outfield. You got a runner coming in to second base. You can see our base umpire is moving in because we had the runner on third. Plate umpire starts going up the line because you're not sure if you're going to have a play at third, if you're going to have a play at the plate. You can see plate umpire is working his way back to the point of plate because we do have the play coming in. Now here you can see your plate umpire is going up the line. You can see the shadow of the runner starting to come into play here. Good position on our base umpire. He's made his way over towards the inside. He has the runner at second base. And now here's your working the wedge. You've got your third baseline extended. He's got the view going straight up the line. You can see runners coming in. Catcher's had to move herself over to make the play. But he has all of the elements in front. So you can see from here we have potential interference. We have a potential obstruction. We're going to have a potential tag. Does she get the tag? What all is going to happen? But this is why they want you in this position over here now, working the wedge, working the third baseline extended. If you think about it, if you place the plate umpire over here, first baseline extended, where they used to have it before, are they really going to see all the elements that could take place there? It's going to be very difficult from that position.
Great tag.
Yeah, it was a nice tag. A lot more athletic than her dad, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So any thoughts on the positioning? Any thoughts on the play itself from that angle?
No, I would say there's going to be sometimes you won't need to be third base extended. You could have stayed at point of plate, especially if it's a good accurate throw. But we all know that good accurate throws don't always happen. So you have to be ready to move right or left to whatever's going to give you the best view to see all those elements.
I just have a quick thought about that. I mean, where the umpire was, he's almost lined there from the catcher on trying to see the tag that's in front of the catcher. So my instinct would be to move to the left, to my left. If we're behind the plate, my instinct would be to move to the left so that I can see the tag. I just don't see how that umpire can make that call when the tag's in front of the catcher and the catcher's body is in the way of seeing the tag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think, though, Matt, especially the way she caught it and the way she turned her back, if you were first baseline extended or even if you stayed at point of plate, there was no way you could see if her hand reached out with the ball in the glove and tagged the thigh as it did. Dave, I don't know if you can pull it back up, but
you see the third base.
The only way you could see that is if you're in that particular play. It's not every play, but in that play was to be third base line extended, and you had to go to the right.
So yeah, when you say third base, yeah, first base extended, I gotcha. That would be to the left. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my initial inclination is to get the best view of the tag, right?
Right.
So that's why, I mean, in baseball, because I do baseball too, I would be on the inside, and the inside would actually give you the best view here,
That's
unless
right.
it's coming in from the right field. Okay. But obviously the field is so small. But when I'm working by myself, I would be more inclined. First of all, I got to make catch or no catch, right, in the right field, and then I'm just off of the first baseline, putting my head on a swivel, watching the ball come in to home plate to watch that girl come down from third to first. I mean, third to home, and then I've got a nice clear view of where the ball comes in, right? But if I'm third base extended, I still just don't see. I mean, in most cases, that catcher is going to be going down on her knees to get the ball, because most of the time it's either over her head or down in the ground. I just don't see how you can how the first base extended side just seems to be more preferable in that situation.
Okay, so here, let's take this play, same play, but this is a third base camera. So you're saying you want first baseline extended. So we're going to have the umpire basically where this bar is at. So actually, let me
Yeah.
move the
Yeah.
bar out of the
Right.
way. So you're talking making the call from over here where third base,
Or
where you can see third base, right?
Right. Or I would almost come up the line just a little bit so that I can see. I would almost be looking just to the back, to my right, to look at it, because most of the time, and then you have to be conscious of the fact that these girls now are taught to slide, with their left hand out to snag the home plate, right?
Yeah, as they slide by the base.
Right. So you
Yeah.
got to be conscious of that. And so I think that might be the reason why it's third base extended. But I mean, if you're far enough away, you can probably make that tag a little bit better, or maybe you're closer to home plate there to make the tag. I don't know. It's just my instinct. I'm just having some problems with that. That's all.
Yeah, no,
And it's fine.
I think
Good
from
point.
where
Bring it up.
he's at there, he can see it. There's a gap in between the glove and her leg. I think if he was first base extended,
over
he'd
here,
be straight lined. He wouldn't be able to see it, I don't think.
I just think he'd be straight lined if he was third base extended. I just yeah.
I think it's a
All right,
probability issue. I mean, what's the position that gives you? Every play is gonna be a little different. I mean, where's the throw going to be? Where's the runner going to be? Where's the catcher going to be? Is she going to go head first? Is she going to go foot first? I mean,
There's a
apparently
lot of variables.
the experts have decided that third base extended gives you the probability of having a good view, but certainly in certain plays, it's not gonna be.
right.
And you're making that decision in a fraction of a second too.
Yeah.
Right.
Couldn't you play inside?
Not in this one, because the umpire's already in the foul territory, because you're a two-person. You're not sure if you're going to have a play at third. You got to play at home.
Yeah.
We don't go
So
inside
you're not going
very
to cut
often.
you're not going to
I
cut into
know.
fair territory. So
Yeah.
but in any event, so if you're looking from first baseline extended, this is what you're going to see. Now, is there a tag? Isn't there a tag? It's going to go by pretty daggone quick.
But he's
All right?
lined
That's,
right there.
That's a third
right?
baseline extended. Let's go and show the first baseline extended, same play.
The other thing
Or the
with
third
being
baseline extended,
inside,
same play.
yeah, go ahead, Matt, or Dave, bring it up. The other thing with being inside, Matt, is you got to be ready for the next play too. So, and that catcher has got an arm, so when she pops up and throws,
she'll
we
pop
don't want
you.
to be inside.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm a big fan of the rim in softball. I never like to go inside. I was just trying to think it through a little bit, but
And that's all
probably
good. And that's why we're here
why
to
we're
have
here.
this
Yeah, let's
discussion and look at the
discuss it.
difference. So here's the same play, first base.
It didn't come up, Dave.
How dare it?
You could get caught inside on a solo game if you're out.
Yeah, I've been in that situation.
Yeah,
right.
you could get, if you're going out
Right.
to towards second shortstop to make a call at second or third or whatever out at second, all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah,
you could
I
get caught
totally.
out there.
If I'm by myself, I totally pregame it. I'm like, guys, if I'm running out to see a catch, no catch, and then there's a runner at second, and I got to come back and 10 home plate. It's going to be difficult to get into the right position.
Is video up now?
Not yet.
Still not?
Nope.
Okay. Let's wipe some of these out.
It's okay. I think I understand what you guys are saying. I do. There may not be an actual right answer, but the other thing, I hate to bring it up, but the other thing, if your third base extended, that girl who's coming home is coming right at you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just kind of, it just throws me off.
I would have gone inside more, curled around up the first base side,
right?
More,
right?
To get that out.
If you're
and I
quick
would have
enough,
expected that to be the play because bases were loaded, and you got to expect, that there might be a play home, and so I'm coming out of there like right away.
Yeah, because if they're going to slide, I've never seen anybody slide on the inside.
No.
Right. So if you are coming in, I would just be like 2 feet down the first baseline on the inside a little bit. That way you're out of the way of anybody throwing, because at this point, the base runner is probably going to 2, if not caught between 2 and 3, so you don't want to get too far in there. But to Dan's point, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
Sure.
So
And
is the
just
first
make
base,
sure
is
you
first
guys
base
have a
video
good
up now?
view of obstruction and interference. That's why third base extended is critical, because having that straight line view of obstruction or interference, if you're up around first base, first base extended, you may not have that same angle to identify that. That's all.
That's a good point.
Is video up now, Dan?
Yes.
All right, cool. So again, same play.
See, she missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from that angle, he can see the tag, though.
Right? You
I
can
don't
see the
know.
area in between.
Had it been a perfect throw, we wouldn't have this on
Right.
video, but
He was out.
yeah, that was a great play to get a tag on her, but he's right there seeing it.
Right there.
Yeah. That's in
rather
front
than
of the
behind
leg.
the catcher or behind the runner. You don't want to be too far that way either.
So if
Yeah.
you were over here,
Right. But
or
that
even
only
up a little
works.
bit.
Right. That only works if the ball's going to to the third base side.
If she's got the ball sitting on top of the plate and just sliding in and seeing if the foot got in there or not, that third base could be extended, could be difficult.
You also may have a kick in there too.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
that's just
umpire
an
was
athletic play of
punched,
trying to catch the ball and
the
flip
umpire
yourself
almost
back.
punched the runner too, but that's okay. Watch it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let her
quick,
have it.
You want to see the punch here? Here's the punch.
hey, quick one.
Tommy, why didn't you slide?
Right.
It was good, buddy.
But thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, a good
All right.
discussion, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, we're at time now. So next week it'll be back on Tuesday at 7. I do have a couple other videos with working the wedge that I'll bring out first. And I'm going to look at doing lineup DP flex as far as the topics for next week. If anybody has any other thoughts or any other things they might want to go over, send me an email, send me a text, and we'll see what we can work in on that.
There's no test review.
Well, the test just comes out on next Tuesday
Next
whenever
week,
we're having our
17th.
meeting.
Yeah.
So what, and I was going to bring this up next week, but I'll bring it up now, is what we'll look to do is do the test review on the 24th and the 3rd. So the following
Okay.
2 Tuesdays, we'll do the test review. So this gives everybody the opportunity to watch the rules video, get their test, fill out your test, answer it, and put down rule references as to what, where you came up with the answers that you came up with. And we'll do like we did last week with the polls, where it'll be like, okay, here's the question, what's your answer? And then we'll discuss the answers and work our way down to what the correct answer is for the test, and go from there.
Hey, Dave, let me say something on the test. When you guys print out the test, go ahead and answer it without looking at the rule book. Just, lightly circle the answer you think is correct. And then go get a rule book and prove yourself right or wrong. It really helps you absorb things. Even if you guessed wrong or put down the wrong answer, now you find the answer. Say it's obstruction or double first base or whatever. And then when you come back to the group, you'll have the rule references or maybe a case play. Sometimes they come right out of the case book. And for me, it just helps me absorb it better if I try the test without any help whatsoever, and then prove yourself right or wrong.
All right. Well, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate you being here
Yeah,
tonight.
good.
And
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
have a good rest of the week. We'll see you on Tuesday next week.
Yep. Take care.
David, do you have a minute for just 2 quick questions?
As long as it's only 2, yes.
Only
But-
2. Promise.
Hang on a second here. Let me stop our recording.
Okay.